welcome to New Bedford Guide's LGBTQ Voice. Whoa. The same thing happened last time. See, I spend my day watching podcasts, so I forget that my phone's on, even. But thank you for joining us. I'm Dan Souza, your guest, and today we're talking about parents who are actually straight. Last week we talked about parents who are actually LGBTQ, and now we're talking with parents who are straight and actually have kids, part of the fam. And so today we have with us
Susan Gibbs.
Susan Gibbs.
And I'm Donna DeMello.
Dennis.
Dennis what?
Oh, Dennis Racine.
Okay.
Teresa Racine.
Teresa Racine. And Dennis, you are actually the son and son-in-law to two people here.
Yep.
Yes. So that's pretty cool. And so for the parents, we're going to mostly talk with the moms, but I want to touch base with you, Dennis, in a little bit, and you can probably jump in whenever. But, so I want to know, we already know one, but how many kids do you actually have, and, which ones are part of the LGBTQ family? Are all of them? Which would be very astronomical in numbers. But, you want to go first?
I have 2 bonus children, 3 regular children, 3 biological children, and I have one who is a male to female transgender, and we are all very supportive.
And spoiler alert, we actually met Zoe. You guys remember when we talked to some elders and some youth? That was Zoe, and that's your kid.
Yes.
So we can see the resemblance just a bit.
Thank you.
I have 2 boys, both gay men.
Mm-hmm.
My son-in-law here, Dennis, and one's going to be the big 3-0 this year, my baby, and my oldest is 33.
And which one's married to Dennis?
My youngest.
Your youngest, okay.
I have 3 children, 2 girls, and Dennis. Dennis is 36. My girls are 35 and 34. And I
That's
don't know.
it.
Dennis, yeah.
Just Dennis.
Just
so
Dennis,
Dennis is the only
yeah.
gay one here. Okay. Now, Dennis, did you come out to your mom, or was it that she kind of found out? Was it did she go into your bedroom, found something that she shouldn't have? Is that literally the story?
It was actually funny. I had told my sister first, and then my sister had told my
Snitched.
mother because
She
I had told her I
snitched.
wasn't sure how to approach it, even though I knew that neither one of my parents would have a problem. So my mother at the time came into my bedroom. She sat down, and she was like, is there anything that you want to tell me? And of course, I'm just sitting there like, no, why? And she told me, she's like, no, if you are gay, there's nothing wrong with it. We have plenty of gay friends, gay family members. And I'm like, nope, nothing to say, nope. And then a week later, I told her, I said, the conversation we had? Like, yeah. I'm like, well, yeah, I'm gay. And no, by the way, my boyfriend's going to come stay with us for a week. So that was fun.
That's very interesting. So, Teresa, how did you take that in? I know that you said you were accepting and everything like that, but
Yep.
that's a bombshell. I think you were already prepared for the whole gay stuff, but then it'd be like, oh, by the way.
Yeah, it didn't faze me at all, Didn't bother me at all. See, I worked in restaurants, and it was in the North End, and that's all. We were open late night, and 99% of our people were gay.
Yeah.
So it was I was used to it. It didn't bother me at all.
And you also mentioned you had gay family members. How many others, or you don't have to out them, but did you grow up around them?
Well, kind of, yeah. I have an uncle that he's married. Excuse me. He's bi. And my oldest daughter, she's supposed to be
Bye.
bi
Bi
too.
too, okay.
So,
Oh, so you do have more. That's
yeah.
What about you guys? Do you have any other family members that are queer, of
Yes.
your own, or
Yes,
immediate family?
my dad's cousin always had roommates,
yeah.
That was the term in the early 60s, 70s, 80s was roommates. And then I have a niece She has a wonderful girlfriend. You know, my boys. My husband has a cousin. So it runs on both sides between my husband's family and mine.
I pretty much have mostly friends that had friends that were LGBTQ. And
That's about it.
that's about it. Zoe is the first one to come out to me. She came out when she was very young, and I was accepting. I was more fearful for her than any other emotion, but she's made herself.
Yeah.
She's made it for herself.
Yeah.
She's established.
Yeah, she's established quite a community, and it's really nice to see that. Like, so do you
We
want?
are, we are the exact opposite.
Yeah.
She's loud.
And you're quiet. You kind of touched upon that you were more fearful, and so like, what were some of the concerns that you had? Like,
Because she's so open, because she's so trusting, I was fearful of other people accepting. I know I accepted, I know my family accepts, I know my kids accept, but I was more fearful for other people to be accepting, and I know everyone has their own agenda, but I just was fearful for her to be accepted.
and just so you guys know, listening, we do accept your questions live. I'm watching, though my battery is a little low, so I do apologize if I cut out suddenly. We don't get to your question, but feel free to email your questions at Tracy at South Coast LGBTQ Network. It's the SC LGBTQ Network.org, and we can answer your questions that way. And so, other concerns that you guys had initially, especially, I mean, we didn't have to concern ourselves with, you know, Dennis being like, you came out, everyone was accepting, but the concern about the boyfriend coming over for a week, was there any concern about that initially? Like, did that throw in anything like new for you?
No, not really. Not really, because like I said, it was the two sisters and him and me, and when he said that, and I said, all I asked you is for respect. That's it.
I think it was more weird for me than it was for her.
Yeah.
Because it was my first relationship, and I didn't know how to act around my mom, my sisters, or even some of the friends in the neighborhood. And it was just completely weird. It was big adjustment, at least for me.
It was when my oldest son came out, he was already experimenting with all, drugs, and he wanted to do everything, and he had to leave the house to find himself. And then he finally came back, when he finally came back home, was to get him situated and everything. So it was a hard transition. I was mad as a parent because he was like sneaky.
Yeah.
And that's what scared me the most as a parent. Who's going to be out there, and don't trust everybody you want to see. And that was a big fear for me. But
So, growing up, Dennis, you could probably talk about this too. Like, on your end, did you guys witness them getting bullied, or was that an issue in school at all, or did they kind of come out a little bit later? I know you mentioned that your son kind of came out a little bit later.
Yep.
So he's probably already out of school. But has there any been experience of bullying in school, or also even now as adults, because you guys are involved as a family, as a family union, about in a workplace too? Any discrimination about that?
All of the above.
All of the above.
Zoe just kind of takes it like a trooper, and she takes what she wants and leaves the rest behind. And
How's the school been about that? Like, because she came out, you said, fairly young.
she was really young, and she went through the gay. She went through gay. She went through bi. She went through multiple phases, and the school was just the school. They weren't very supportive. She was trying to be active, trying to get groups, and they weren't as supportive as I would have hoped.
That's always a shame. Bullying is a big thing in schools, especially for LGBTQ people. I think all of us can attest that the suicide rate is high. Was that ever a concern at all for her? Or I know that she's a trooper, so like she does take
There
it.
was some concern for her.
Yeah. And I'm glad that she has a really good supportive unit at home, because that really does show that it's less likely to happen when we have actually a good, stable support system at home.
We try to extend ourselves to her and friends, and
I have heard that many cases, like, now I have a gay kid and I am kind of slowly adopting these other little gay kids that are friends of my kid. That happens.
We have quite a few fans and family.
And what about you folks?
Jason went through school, I think only in his last year. He had one little problem, and there was actually policemen on property at the school that called me and said, something happened, but he talks to us when needed, and he would. There was a couple of great policemen on property that patrolled the school that he would actually sit and talk to. So, which was fantastic. And then they came to me and said, something happened on the outside, but he came to us on the inside. And I think he felt safer.
Was this at New Bedford High?
Yes.
I think I know which police officer. And then they were actually really chill.
Well, this was 12 years ago.
Yeah, I'm 30. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm turning 30.
Yeah, there was a couple of good police officers there.
There were two gentlemen that were like probably the most spot on
Yes.
officers I've ever seen.
Yes.
In any of my years.
And he had actually his housemaster, Mr. Coster at the time, was his junior high principal. When my son went to the high school, he became his headmaster. So he knew my son in and out, and thankfully, he was a good support system.
Just so you know, Dennis and Terry, you got some fans here. Raven and Daria say hello, and also shouting out.
Ray and Daria.
Yeah. So thank you for that. Do give them. I think you also got hearts too. That's pretty cool. I do like it when I see the little thumb going across the screen. So keep that up. Thanks. So, did you experience any bullying, Dennis, in school at all, or?
In school, I actually wasn't comfortable enough with myself to admit to anybody that I was gay. Even though I knew, all I did was date girls, because at the time I did a lot of reading, because I didn't know anybody personally that was either gay or lesbian that I could talk to, and I was always led to believe that even though you feel one way, you need to make sure that you find, a woman, you settle down, you have a family. And my senior year, my ex-girlfriend had found a journal that I wrote, and she saw, one thing and then another thing. So she questioned me about it, and we talked, and she was the first person in school that I actually said something to. So I wasn't really bullied at all for being gay. I was bullied for other stuff, like hearing aids and stuff like that, but that was about it. I didn't have any problems in school with that at all.
So she found your journal full of penis drawings, and that's how that was the clue. That was the Nancy Drew mystery she solved. Was that? So, Terry, did you have also another daughter? Was she out at that time as well? Did she get bullied at all? Dennis, they're older sisters or younger?
Younger.
Sisters? Younger. Okay.
Mhm.
So,
I don't
No,
remember. No,
not at all.
I don't think so.
I don't think she really
No.
came out until after high school.
Yeah,
Yeah, way after high school.
and I think something you touched upon about Zoe going through well, first it was this and then it was this. I think it takes kind of stages also in life, and you also mentioned he had to kind of go outside of the house and find himself, and I think it does sometimes take a while for the journey to settle on to something or figure yourself out, and that's also something I
But-
think.
I mean, we just bought them a house.
Yeah.
So I have my oldest son on the first
Oh,
floor,
yeah.
and Dennis and Jay live up on second floor. The first year they were there, somebody wrote on their fence that my husband Bill, go away fags. So, it's gotta be a neighbor or something, but, the police came out and it was kind of pushed under the rug.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And, I kept on calling, the policemen that came on, we were like, well, just paint the fence.
Yeah.
Just wash the fence. And I'm like, no, we're in 2017.
Yeah. Do some actual detective work.
And I'm like, in this day and age, somebody actually would do that? I'm like, this is something you'd see in the 60s and the 50s.
Well, some preliminary statistics from the HRC and a few other places have shown there has been a spike of low-level offenses and also bigger offenses. Last year was one of our biggest years for transgender murders of trans women last year. So on that scale, like you said, of vandalism, there's a lot more of those smaller scale instances, and we're also having an increase of higher scale incidences as well. And it's a scary time. And, I really am thankful that there are parents out there that do support their kids as well. So we have no questions. You guys that are watching this can ask questions and whatnot. Feel free to. I will shoot it to them as well. But I'll just keep going. That's fine. Let's talk about work. Dennis, do you have a job at all, or did you find that it was a little bit hard to find a job?
No, not at all. I did a lot of retail work. I worked at both Toys R Us and Walmart, and both companies both have no discrimination policy, and especially Walmart, they're both very welcoming. And they say right from the get-go that if you have any problems, anybody says anything, you let somebody know and they'll handle it with no problem. Even now, I work over at Honda, and they're very welcoming too. So I've never ran into any problems where I felt like I had to not say anything. I mean, at first, when I first started this job, I'm working with a bunch of mechanics, and there's always that stereotype that, manly men, they don't like this, they don't like that, but everybody has been awesome.
But we touched butts on football. That was the big football show happened, right? Despite the flannel, I'm not much of a butch, so that was that big football thing that happened. I know the butt slap, but they slap each other's butts, and that's about as much as I watch, and then I go into another room. But I do not watch the footballs.
I do.
Yeah, love football.
You also you work in a pretty male-dominated field as well.
It's funny because I went to high school. I was the only girl in my class.
Mhm.
I worked at a night shift. I was pretty much the only girl on night shift. I worked in a factory. I worked on the guy side of the factory.
Mhm.
So I've worked always male-dominant jobs. And I've worked in another construction field where, there was 2 girls and 100 men. And then, this one, it's a smaller company. There's 8 people and I'm the only girl. So, I mean, when other people come in and they go, yeah, the fag, and I go, hey, hey. Not here. You want to do your stupid jokes, stay away from me, because I'm gonna put you down right back, and it's gonna be ugly. Because I'm a mom, and I'm gonna stick up, and so be careful.
And did you get picked on yourself at all? Because I know they like to assume, oh, you're probably a lesbian. Like, why else would you be here working in a construction site or something like that?
No,
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 not at all.
no.
Nice.
And I mean, I've never been that girly girl with dresses and frills, so I've always, I'm the t-shirt and jeans girl. I've always have, so, but no, I mean,
Nice.
and my whole staff knows that I have gay children, so I mean, my kids come by and see me at work, so that they know, so nothing's ever said derogatory of any sort at all.
And Terry, what were you, like, I know we kind of, not breezed by it, but like, how was your feeling about the whole incident with the, the faggot on the fence and everything? So.
I was very upset about that. Very.
She had a lot of colorful language to say.
I'm being
That
nice.
we cannot repeat tonight.
I'm
We all-
being nice.
But
Yeah, it's just, I went to the house and I seen it and I says, who in their right mind would do something like that?
And do you face any backlash at all because of having a gay son? Like, I know sometimes, what is it that, like, my own parents said, like, how is it going to make it look like on me? Like, like this.
Well, I'm
So-
100% Portuguese.
Yeah.
Okay,
So-
and I get no backlash at all because I'll tell them right off,
Mhm.
he's my son, he's not yours, don't worry about it, see you later,
Mhm.
and I'll just walk away.
And what about yourself with Zoe? Like, does Zoe have work at all, or is it?
Zoe did have a couple of jobs, and it was very difficult
Mhm.
for her, and we'll just leave it as. It was very difficult.
Mhm. And have you experienced any backlash on yourself for having a kid that was like different, quote unquote?
My friends and all my family I associate with, we're all accepting, and if anyone has anything trash to say, they can leave and don't let the door hit them on the way out.
Nice.
Whether my daughter, my son, they're my children, and if you don't like it, there's the door.
Pretty much.
Just
I
want to
agree.
give a shout out to Suzanne. Thank you. She was saying that. Thank you for sharing our stories and having this kind of show. So thank you, guests. If you really do enjoy these kind of stories, what would really be beneficial is if you could actually sponsor us. And there are ways to sponsor us. If you know a business that'd be interested, or you yourself, if you have a shout out that you want us to actually say on the air, contact leo@newbedfordguide.com, and we can talk about setting up sponsorships. And that's because really the only way we can kind of keep this kind of going and sustainable is really having the kind of sponsorships that we need. So thank you. And let's see. I'm kind of going through my little checklist here, touching upon everything. We're kind of going quick, so I might ask a few different kind of varied questions or whatever. So for Zoe, like, had this been like the first time you've ever heard about the term transgender or anything?
I had heard of like gay, lesbian, transgender. I had heard of it, and this was my first. She was just actual living
Like, in your
the
face.
world. Living in the world.
Mhm. And
Tried reading about it, watching shows.
yeah, for most of you guys, like, did you actually reach support groups at all, or did you kind of like internalize it or a bit, or like I know Terry was probably like, no, I'm good. Like, it was like just
You got
regular
it.
day, the sun's out, the weather's up, whatever. But for either of you two, like, was it like
There was no
No.
parental group to say, to go ask questions and go read material, not like there is more today.
Mhm.
It was, you know, when you find out as a parent, you're like, what's their life gonna be like? That's the thing. That's, as a parent, you worry. I'm gonna worry about my children forever. That's what moms do. But there wasn't no help groups out there to say, you know, who can I talk to? Are there pamphlets? You know, what kind of reading materials? There wasn't anything out there at 12, 13, 14 years ago. As much as it is more open now. You know, there aren't no groups that my child could have gone to and felt safe with other children like him. There wasn't. So I mean, it was somewhat of a hard transition to go through.
And I'd imagine less so with being a transgender kid and parenting that. I know there's a good famous one, and now they just released a teen one too to kind of go in conjunction with that. But there are very few kind of resources for parents really just to navigate. I know that conversion therapy is still on the rise, and it's still prevalent even around here in Massachusetts. Was that ever a thought in any of y'all's mind about like, oh, we could just get this fixed?
No, never. Nope.
I say as long as he's happy, I'm happy.
And so, do you feel that fundamentally your parenting is different? Like, do you some of you have multiple kids? Like, did you feel like you ever treated them a little differently, or that your parenting is probably very different from parents who have just straight kids?
No. I
You
mean,
should
my
answer
children,
that.
if they're gonna be bad, you're gonna,
You should answer that.
you know, you spanked them on the butt, no, you didn't care, but, I mean, they're 30 and 33, I still yell at them, so it doesn't matter. They're still my children. If they do something stupid, I'm gonna tell them they did something stupid, but, no, they're our children. You tell them, no, this is stupid, this is the right way. You know, guide them back on their way, and even though they're adults, you still
Worry.
there's nothing you can do.
And what about you, Dennis? Do you want to say anything that you might not want to say in front of your mom? Because
There's actually very little that I haven't said in front of her or I've talked about with her. With my mother, there's nothing really that I keep from her. Growing up, she always made it known that whether it was for me or my sisters, that we want to say something, you say something, we'll deal with it afterwards. And my mom reminds me a lot of Debbie from Queer as Folk.
Okay.
If you ever see
Yeah,
the show
I've
and you ever
seen
see
the show.
Debbie, that's exactly how she was.
and she worked at a restaurant too, so she's,
Yep, so
she's
even more.
exactly
Exactly.
exactly like Debbie.
For me, it was a little bit of adjustment because I have a tendency to be overly sensitive to a lot of stuff, and like she said, she's old school Portuguese with a lot of stuff. So she would say something, and I'd be like, "You can't say that." And she'd be like, "Well, why?" I'm like, "Because you just can't say that." So it took a little bit of adjustment period here and there when we would go out and she sees somebody and she'd be like, "Oh, do you think that person's gay?" I'm like, "It's you can't. Don't ask."
What was it that happened? Share my own story. We pulled up through like a drive-through of a McDonald's, and my mom looked at me and was like, "I think the guy at the window was gay. Do you know him?" And I'm like, "No, we're in the middle of like Rhode Island. Who do I know from Rhode Island?" But has your parenting felt different? No. Do you yell at Zoe the same amount as you yell like your little
Even
kids?
more. Even more. Because it's Zoe.
Yeah, it's Zoe. Not spoiler. A disclaimer: the reason Zoe gets yelled at is not because she's transgender; it is because she is Zoe. So,
Yeah. Thank you for
yes,
that.
you're welcome. It's probably a smart mouth and and no filter. That's
No filter. That's the biggest.
Now. I'm going. I know we said that. If you could do things differently, was there anything in the past that you probably could have done, this is a little off script too, we did talk to them about some of the questions. That's what media does. So a little off script, like, was there anything that you wish you could have done a little differently, like, or if there was a specific incident or just in general, like something you wish you kind of did do differently when you kind of raised them?
I probably would have been more supportive. I probably would have extended her feelings more. I we talked about it, we kept it in our family, and we didn't go outside the family for a long time, going through the different phases. And I feel maybe I could have been a little
More accepting sooner, and then like,
I've accepted all along. It was just kind of my fear of the outside world. I wanted to keep her inside. I wanted to shelter and protect her, and just.
I think that's just mom feelings, so
Yeah.
more than.
I think my fear
they're
fear
gonna be
for her
my
was
transgender
greater
child.
than my fear was just big. I wasn't sure what she was gonna face and the
Okay.
unknown.
We felt that as a gay mom, never mind a transgender mom. So I mean, it's just a mom. You're just a mom. You're not a mom. You ain't transgender mom, super transgender mom.
Yeah.
No, you're mom. That's what we are. We're mom. We want to keep our kids in that cocoon, and we want to protect them, and we want to keep them safe at all times. I say that to my children. Hey, when you get home, give me a call. Make sure. And the 30th of 23, and I'm like, when you get home, give me a call. I want to make sure you're all right.
I'm the mom dropping off the friends, and I'm like, have to watch you walk in that door. Have to watch the door slam. Have to watch the door shut. I'm like,
We're
okay.
moms, so you can't say.
Flip the lights so I know that you see.
what about you, Terry? No regrets.
No regrets. Nothing.
Joshua says hello to Dennis and Donna.
That's my other son-in-law.
Nice.
Hello, Joshua.
Marie needs the email again. So the email for our topics, if you can email Tracy, that's TRACI, so Tracy with an I, at sclgbtqnetwork.org. And I close my eyes because it's easier to remember. I can see it in my head.
Writing it in your head.
It's burned into the back of my eyelids, so that's how I see it. Jacqueline also says hello, Dennis. I think it's Jacqueline or Jacelyn. I don't know how. It's hard to read text and figure out how. So if I butcher your names, I apologize. I think that you kind of started bringing up an interesting point. Like, there is a bit of a difference between parenting a transgender child and a gay child. And, like, are you willing to kind of explore those differences, if you will? Or
Sure.
okay. So, like, I think I don't have to say this or explain this, but a person who is gay is a person who is attracted to the same gender as them. So, Dennis is a man and likes men. But transgender, I sound reductive. It's only because, like, I had some feedback of, like, you need to explain things better. Like, what does gay really mean? So there's that. And then transgender is a person who was born assigned a sex, which may have been male or female, and feels that they should have been a different sex. So, for example, Zoe was assigned a male at birth and then is transitioning to female. So you call that a trans woman. Trans men are people who are assigned female at birth, like myself, and we transition to men. Now, we may be gay, like me, I like men, but I'm also a man, but that is very different and distinct from being transgender. And do also imagine parenting is also distinct and different. Like parenting decisions for transgender teens are, do we put them on hormone blockers? Do we let them go on hormones when they're at puberty? Do we do this and X, Y, and Z? And did you kind of have to like have those kind of really tough discussions with your husband, or are you?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're straight. I'm sorry, I forgot. I'm so used to talking to gay people, and then I'm like, oh wait, I assume most people are gay unless told otherwise. So I was about to be like, oh wait, I'm sorry that I assumed that you have a husband. You do. So did you have those kind of discussions with your husband?
I talked with my husband, I talked with Zoe, and my feelings then were to postpone hormones until she was 18.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want her to take hormones before she was 18 because I wanted it to be her decision. I wanted her to take the initiative. I didn't want to push anything. I didn't want to push any of my side on her. I let her take the lead and her take the initiative. And she graduated from high school, and then she
Immediately went in.
It took a little while though.
Yeah.
Yes.
It probably does take a while. Like, it took me forever to decide, so. Everyone goes at their own pace.
There was no rush. There was no.
Though I have to admit, these damn kids that get to transition a lot earlier do look a lot better than I do. So,
I think that's one of my hesitations now. Is like maybe if I did let her go on hormones, there will always be that question. But
there will be.
I figure she's over 18 now, and it's her call, and what she's my daughter, no matter what.
Yeah. I begged my parents to go on, and they were like, no. I was like 14, and they're like, no. And also, insurances were different back then. Now we do get coverage. Hopefully that stays that way. I think we're a little safe in Massachusetts because that guideline was already established before the Affordable Care Act. So, but there are avenues for that for trans kids. And also, so this is also an interesting question. Like, Dennis, you don't want kids at all, or like you're not going to adopt at all, or anything like that?
I go back and forth.
You go back and forth.
Yeah, I have my nieces and nephews over, and my friend's kids, and I'm like, nope, I don't want kids. If we don't end up with kids, I'm okay with it because between the two of us, we have a lot of godchildren, nieces and nephew, so we can spoil them. And the best thing about that is after we give them sugar, we can send them back home to their parents, not have to worry about anything.
Yeah, that is nice. Now, so kind of opening that up a little bit further, Indy. So being gay, if you did have a kid and they were transgender, how would you feel about that? Do you think you'd be a little bit more equipped, or
I'm actually still learning
about that?
about the whole trans community because there was a lot of questions that I didn't even know, and there's a lot of people that I can reach out to, including Zoe, who I can ask questions about, and they'll give me answers, and I'm always afraid to be like, I might sound stupid or whatever, but if you can explain it. If it was something that I had to deal with, I would hope by then I'd be more well-versed into helping them, regardless. So I don't think it would be an issue. It might be an adjustment, but other than that, I don't think it would be a problem.
And for you lovely folks, Don and Terry, how about if Dennis was transgender instead of gay, so instead of the lovely man before you?
He
So-
dressed up in a Halloween outfit as a woman. He makes a bad woman. So, yeah, he can't. Sorry, Dennis.
Do you think, like, Terry, would you think, like, have you had any experience with that at all? And, like, because I know you said you had a lot of gay people in your life, but, like, would that have taken you a step back? Like,
When I went down to Arizona, we went to a gay club, and that's all it was. They were singing and doing acts and whatnot, and I enjoyed it. So I mean, like I said, it depend on him. As long as he's happy, I'm happy, and if that's what he wanted, go for it.
Also, Joshua, you're getting called out right now. I mean, Joshua's calling you out, Dennis, that you do have a child. It is Belle, your dog. So,
Oh, yes.
So-
we have Belle. That's correct.
yeah. Thank you, Joshua, for giving us the real news. So let me think. More questions. Though we are kind of getting close to the wire, but not too close. We tend to run an hour long, but 45 minutes is decent. But, let me think.
And plus, I've been in the, I mean, just because my children gay, but I've been on pride committees for years, especially with
Yeah,
Tracy.
you are more, you are active in
Yes.
the gay community, and like actually, we should probably talk about like, was it because you have a gay son that like immediately you were like, oh, I should get involved?
No.
Or,
No, I met wonderful people, and they said, "Hey, you want to help?" I said, "Yeah,
I
okay."
have time.
Yeah, and then my son started doing running for Mr. Gay New Bedford, and he won one year, so that was a big plus.
Nice.
Proud mom moment, it's kind of like king of the prom almost.
So on the bumper sticker it says, my kid is gayer than your kid,
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
insert school name or something.
My son had a crown, but your daughter didn't, yeah, something like that, yeah. So I mean, I've been doing Pride with Tracy for a few years now. There was, the New Bedford Pride, then that broke down, and then Tracy started it back up again. And of course, she gave me the call, and she's like, "Yeah, you're on the committee, whether you like it or not. Okay, all right, bye, love you, bye-bye." And I was like, "Oh, okay." I guess we have a, New Bedford Pride again, which is perfect. Unfortunately, for the first one, I was on vacation last year, so I couldn't be there, but I helped on the way until I left on vacation. But I mean, I've gone and done fundraisers and everything. Went and saw shows and to raise money for New Bedford Pride, and so I mean, if you have a child, come to those events. Come see other families there, because they're family events, and people need to see that there are other families who love their children. Yes, unfortunately, there is that percentage that say, "Oh my God, it's quiet. Gotta be quiet. My son's gay." You can't do that anymore. It's be proud of your child. Love your child. That's what we need to do. Love our children.
And yourself, I know you're like Zoe's fairly active. I mean, she is like the ambassador for NDI.
Yes.
I assume self-proclaimed. Not really. No, Zoe, I love you. I'm teasing. I know you were assigned it. It was a sash. There was a ceremony. Have you been involved at all, or was it really because the push of your kids that?
Zoe usually takes the lead, and I tend to follow some places.
And
Not
Terry,
all.
Terry, I bet you probably are at the march with the flag and like waving it around like you're in color guard or something like that.
They had a big thing downtown. I held a big sign. I was proud of it. My son is gay. Yep.
That's really nice, and it's really also like not only are you parents and of gay children or trans children or part of the LGBTQ family, but also like really supportive and also being part of the family, which is nice. It's kind of inspiring because homelessness is a big thing amongst trans youth and queer youth in general, and mostly because they're kicked out of home, and high unemployment rates and not a lot of support from family homes kind of sets the stage of like not so great stuff at the end. And it's really great seeing kind of in a way a legacy of like that Terry, you were able to support your son, and then you also ended up having a son and supporting them, and they're married and your whole family grew too to that, and that's really interesting and really special.
I mean, we have family members that don't like interacting at parties because I have a lot of gay friends. I have gay family members. And was like, oh, I feel uncomfortable at your house. Really? Did anybody say anything bad to you? No. So, why? And I said, well, if you don't like coming here, okay. I'm not going to beg you to be here. I have an open door policy. Come anytime you want. But don't be rude to my guests. And if you are, don't come back. And I'm not going to get rid of family members or my friends just because you don't like them. So, okay, have a nice day.
Do you have like the same experience? Like, has your family as a whole like kind of adjusted or changed, especially holidays? Because we just got over the holidays, but I know like Christmas time is a big deal. I don't get it, but like, has Christmas time changed for you guys at all?
Not really. We have our big Christmas dinner, and it's you come if you come if you want. If you don't want to be with the family, then don't come. Starve.
I mean, that's how it is, you know, after the boys moved into the house. I have Dennis, the first year they moved in, they're like, okay, we got Thanksgiving. Okay. And the other one, okay, I got Christmas. Okay, great, that's less I have to cook. Okay, thank you very much. I'm not arguing that point, so.
Yeah, Zoe was down with her friends for the holidays, and just the more the merrier.
Right.
I think it's very true that, and Dennis, you can chime in too, like, our parents are kind of the first models of like how to be in society, and realizing that you're not like them is kind of scary. And I think there's this also weird pressure to still try and be just like them, like as you said, like you held off, like your mom was kind of really laying it on thick, like she probably could have dropped a porno mag in front of you and you probably still would have been like, no, for that first week. And was that really kind of like that kind of hesitancy to be like, I'm different from my parents, and like they're kind of like, you know, that's a little scary.
A little bit.
Yeah.
You know, like I had said, I didn't really have anybody that I could talk to, and even though I could talk to my mom, even to my father, but I didn't really feel comfortable talking to them about, you know, what I was going through. And we have a couple of close friends who always would come over, and they were gay. And I started seeing how they lived, and I'm like, oh, all right, you know, they live exactly, you know, how my parents are. They do the same thing. Well, not the same thing, but, you know, everybody got along. And I'm like, all right, so maybe I should try to be more comfortable and be more relaxed. And in high school, you know, I tried that, and of course the whole thing with Matthew Shepard happened.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah,
No.
maybe not yet, no.
Yeah.
But there's always that expectations to live up to, you know, how my parents are, or how my parents were. But eventually, you know, like my mom hammered in my head, you know, do your own thing, don't worry about us, do how you feel, and that's how it's always been.
And kind of like the reverse question to you, you know, your parents, like, you obviously can't teach your kids how to be gay or trans. And is that a little bit, do you feel a little bit disconnected from your kid in that way? Like, you're not able to impart something onto them that's kind of really fundamentally important to them?
No, I mean, just because you're gay and you have a partner, you're going to cook, you're going to go to work, you're going to pay taxes. Guess what? I do that too. So there's no, you know what I'm saying? Live your life. Be a model citizen. You know, just be a good person.
And for you, like, do you try and, like, model, like, oh, Zoe, like, this is me as a woman, and I know that you guys said you're opposites, but but do you ever do, like, the mom and daughter, like, stereotypical stuff, like, like in teen movies, they usually show like shopping dates together.
Not
or
about.
whatever.
I'm not about that. She may be.
She is.
But
That's cool. So we're at. Well, my Fitbit's telling me that I should get up and walk. So I think, is there any like last comments you guys kind of want to say, or anything like that? Like, if there's a message you can impart onto straight parents currently dealing with, I say dealing with, gay kids or having their children kind of coming out or kind of going through that process right now, is there some sort of advice you would want to give them?
be supportive. Try to find support, and just love your children for who they are.
Definitely listen. And if you have questions, go to a local community. Right here in New Bedford, we have New Bedford Agley. Go down there. There's plenty of counselors to talk to that will gladly talk to you. And just, love your child.
Terry?
I just feel like a lot of these parents, they yell at their kids too. Sit down and listen. Open your ears.
You're getting a little choked up.
No. No.
All right. Maybe it's just me because it's kind of moving to see this.
I'm just super thankful for Tracy and the NB Agley, because they've been a big support for Zoe.
And for folks who are interested, the New Bedford Agley and South Coast LGBTQ network, they're pretty much kind of the same. NB Agley is inside the facility, which is co-hosted with the South Coast LGBTQ network. They are local resources, and they are a partner with us on the show. And if you actually want to come see us, we actually have an event that we are co-sponsored with a few other neighboring towns. Not neighboring towns, neighboring entities within the town. This Sunday, we're going to be screening the film I Am Not Your Negro, about James Baldwin, a gay black activist. It's going to be at our local national park. It's the New Bedford Whaling National Historical Park on 33 William. It's going to be this Sunday, which is the 29th, if I'm correct. I hope I am. The 29th, this Sunday, from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. So come grab some refreshments. We can watch a movie, really cool movie. It's also kind of a networking opportunity for LGBTQ youth as well. So if you have a family member, or if you are a family member who's LGBTQ, come on down, watch the film. We're kind of hoping for a nice big turnout. It's free, so that's always going to bring someone in.
It's a bonus.
Right.
Yeah.
And go to a Pride event.
Yeah.
And it's
I know Pride-
it's a family event. You could be straight and still go to a Pride event and see families with their children.
Is the date locked down for New Bedford Pride?
I believe it is June 6th, I believe.
June. I'm hearing 3rd and 6th. We're going to get back to you.
I know.
Tracy would know.
Oh,
Oops.
June
Okay.
2nd. All right.
This Sunday's the 28th.
Okay.
Oh, this Sunday's the 20th. So thank you. That's Eileen, one of our co-producers back here. She's the voice on the other end of the curtain. So this Sunday, the 28th, is the event with the movie down at your national park right here in New Bedford. And Pride starts off on June 2nd.
Yep. And then every Saturday after that, there's Boston
I know,
Pride,
there's
there's
Boston Pride.
Providence Pride.
Exactly. And there's a lot of prides in the area.
Yes.
So I do encourage you guys to also go as family. And I think that's it. If you do like our content, again, we need sponsors. It's the only way we can really keep going and have these really amazing conversations and these really amazing guests. So contact Leo at newbedfordguide.com. And I really want to thank you guys for coming.
Thank
Many
you for
people,
inviting us.
It's very hard to kind of get people to come on. I know. And also, if you're quiet, it's okay for you to be quiet and still come on the show. And so thank you very much. And thank you for being really good supportive families. And I hope this changes a lot of families' minds.
Thank you.
Hope so.
Thank you.
And thank you.